Kyoto, 5 intermediate school students stopped me and asked to practice speaking English. They came from Fukuoka on a school trip. At the end, they gave me a handwritten, hand-decorated card that described who they were. The card included these sentences in English. We love peace, but we hate war. We want to have a way to go toward world peace. Let's work together for world peace. That evening, when I reread their card, I thought, couldn't our Kerisensui Gardens serve as a blank canvas on which to represent their desire, the desire of these young people for peace?
宇宙の始まりと終わりが一つのその輪になって切れ目なく続くことを意味すると言われています。地球上の平和もこのような輪となって広がることを願ってピースリングと名付けたデザインをいくつか考えてみました。日本語のひらがなという書式がありますが、ひらがなでどんな方向から見ても平和と読めるように作図しております。平和の和は同じ発音と意味を持つ和ですね、リングの形で表現しました。
Kare Sansui, or Dry Rock Garden at Japan House, was designed and installed by Jim Beyer.
My name's Susan Kapuscinskis, and I'm one of the gardeners at the Japan House. I'm happy to be part of a larger experience. I would encourage people to just take their time. It's a calming, peaceful experience.
Once completed, on Sunday, August 21st, guests were encouraged to visit the Kare Sansui and fold an origami crane for peace. Guests wrote a wish for peace or a message in honor of a loved one and clipped it to the rope.
Japanese gardens were built in North America from 1876 to the present, 2022, and these are probably the best gardens in terms of quality, size, built between 1920 and 1960. So these gardens are built during a time of war, and I think it's pretty easy and basic and fundamental to really see them as symbols of peace, and more than just symbols, kind of activities, creating something positive in a time of destruction. They were built where people could really bring out their better selves, connect, a lot of time and effort, sweat equity, put into something that they could feel a closeness to humanity, to other people, to their ancestors back hundreds of years, to everybody who ever put their hands in the soil and made it grow, whether it's horticulturally or aesthetically.
So the main idea behind Manzanar's gardens, we want to show these to the world, how these incarcerated people during World War II built gardens, and they built these gardens because they're hopeful about the future. They built them to bring peace to their lives in this incarceration camp, and I think that has some sort of meaning and value in today's world. You can come to Manzanar, you can see these gardens. They're peaceful now. They're a place you can contemplate what's going on in the world, what happened at Manzanar. Perhaps, put things in perspective.
Good, fabulous, super aesthetics that are great art, really touch people's heart and give a chance to think and collect and relax. Overall, I think when you think about tea ceremony, ikebana, like what I like to narrow down to Japanese traditional art. How the traditional art aesthetics or traditional art related to peace, or maybe mentally facilitate peaceful mental taste. Maybe overall pretty strong aesthetics and philosophy are also rooted in a native nature worship. Japanese indigenous religion, Shinto, put so much emphasis on reverence for nature. So often when you think the theme of many of the painting is the natural flowers, natural views, scenery, so forth. And flower arranging certainly came from observing the way nature plants grows. So that kind of things that I thought, well, that's one of the characteristics of Japanese, so traditional Japanese art. So then when you revere nature, certainly you learn so much from nature. Another characteristic, people say, oh, Japanese art is very simple. But it's not just simple, but more like, I often say, awesomely simple. It's not paraded, less is more, and then put the emphasis on this so-called MA space. So this is quite unique, I think, put the emphasis on importance of Ma. Not their portion is more important, it's there. In a way, when it's not there, it's not paraded, the viewer or maybe the reader or participant in that kind of art, they put their own mind, their kokoro into the place where it's not there, and then be part of it. And so you have a chance to contemplate and slow down and feel sense of oneness with art pieces or gardens or, so that kind of, to me, maybe one of the way Japanese art impact, rather than giving everything to you, not giving everything, leaving space for viewer, participant to really put their own thought. That really, I think, in a way, impact the mental state of the people. To me, it's a pretty strong sense of reverence for nature and learning so much from nature. It's not you the one who manipulating nature. Nature the one who teaching you. And if that kind of attitude, you become so humble feeling you're just a small part of nature. And that, to me, quite a strong stimulation. So we can learn so much and from them and give us such a joy. Certainly Japanese garden is a miniature of this grandeur of nature. It is man-made, but yet it is not. It's actually expression of this power of nature, reverence for nature. So not showing the skill of the gardener to create, but more like how to depict nature as it is without showing their skill. When you really revere nature, anything new gets old, anything young gets old, but that's the way it is. So then instead of thinking that old things is ugly, you don't want it, rather that's the way it is. So then that process you enjoy. That, I think, give you a sort of nice, peaceful mind. Japanese traditional art often give us such an calm, peaceful feeling and give some kind of a strong impact. People to think about it and then to part of it.
The Japanese garden involvement in the community here in Los Angeles involves our garden as well, Irvine Garden, which was built around 1980 through the Southern California Japanese Garden Federation. That time, more than, I believe it was 15,000 people, the Japanese garden was in Southern California, which is a community. And in the Japanese word for family, it's called kate, which means family garden. And so, in sense, the garden becomes a community itself. Even the words, Japanese words, are a part of this kind of community, family grounded design. But the community itself here in Little Tokyo is pretty diverse now. We have our neighbors from Boyle Heights, which is Mexican American, and a little bit in the south we have African Americans. Isamu Noguchi, who designed our plaza, was very instrumental because he was born in Boyle Heights. He had created many gardens throughout the world, but it's a community plaza where, for example, Nisei Week Festival, we had almost 25,000 people coming through the Isamu Noguchi Garden. It is a community called intermingle of all sorts of people who crossroads this plaza. And for the last year, since with the pandemic, we had forest bathing, Shinryoku project. We also have many other programs, Ikebana, bonsai, calligraphy, and we have scholars, and myself and our staff is translating these haiku poems. These poems was written in the 20s and through the 40s, where the sensitivity is about gardens and nature. So there's a lot of history here and a community coming back and creating a wonderful, beautiful garden and the culture center here in heart of Little Tokyo. Our garden connect with our local community. There's lots of residents coming back to the Little Tokyo, and they need some greenery here in downtown. I mean, asphalt and a lot of buildings surrounding, and it's really a wonderful luxury here to come in. And Dr. Uesugi built this garden, almost like a sunken garden, if you will. And it's hard to find, but I think when you find it, you are really overwhelmed with this greenery and almost like a forest. And you could walk around, circumambulate the entire garden with a waterfall. You could hear the sound of the streams. At this time, we have red dragonfly flying all through the garden. In early May, we have swallows coming from Argentina, nesting and creating new families here. I mean, it is a nesting place for the community. And we have all diverse people, not just local. I mean, we have people coming from Japan, we come from Europe, almost every day, and to enjoy this wonderful sitting, and just so you could relax here a little bit. And it is a meditation space for all of us.
So I'm a war veteran, and I've experienced war and the horrors of war, and I have seen that the civilians are the people that suffer the most. So when I came back from Vietnam, I decided to work against war. And I felt that the reason that I was allowed to survive Vietnam, that there must have been a purpose. And for me, that purpose was to work against war. So I'm an anti-war activist. I'm the president of Veterans for Peace, the Gainesville chapter, and I was one of the founding members of Vietnam Veterans Against the War, and one of the organizers on the March on Washington, where we threw our medals away. Now in Gainesville, we have projects that we work, peace projects. So Mary Barr introduced me to Martin McKellar, and I was asked to go and help rake rocks. I never raked rocks before. I didn't know what it was, but I'm a volunteer kind of person, especially if it's for peace. So I went to the Harlem Museum and I learned how to rake rocks. So I did that, and it made me feel good to do that. And then I watched people come in and look at the rocks, and I enjoyed them enjoying the rocks. And then I see stuff going on all over the world. And I think it's important. Anything that we can do to promote peace is important.
平和は、ピースは平和と日本語で言います。で、別の言葉で、その和の和はリングという意味なんですね。だからそこから世界がその和のようになってつながるように、それを願ってデザインをしました。広島の被爆者として人類が二度と悲劇を体験しないようにという願いを込めています。そして人々が輪になって平和を目指してほしいというねメッセージを込めています。I survived the atomic bombing in Hiroshima on August 6, 1945, when I was 6 years old, on my way to school at 8:15 a.m. Somebody shouted, B-29, the enemy bomber. I looked up and saw a tremendous flash. I was burnt and exposed to radiation. The pain was incredible. I cried my way home, but our house was ruined. My mother could not recognize me. My hair was burnt. I was covered in ash. My clothes were destroyed. Many doctors were dead. There were no hospitals left. Survival depended on how strongly and lucky you were. It took only 1 second for a single bomb to destroy the city of Hiroshima and 140,000 lives. All my classmates were killed. My young aunt left home that morning and never came back. Every image of that terrible day remained. My generation will be the last to tell you about this event as direct witnesses. I am an enamel mural artist, and through my career of over 50 years, I have appealed to the world to realize a peaceful world without nuclear weapons. Through my works, including Peace Ring, nuclear weapons will lead the Earth to destruction. They are inhumane and should never have been allowed on Earth. There are many people working tirelessly for a nuclear-free world. I know one day we will live in a nuclear-free world, and a beautiful blue sky will continue to shine above the heads of our future generation. So I have one request for you. Please make many friends from other countries. When you do so, you are moving toward the world peace. Thank you.